were placed on the campus. Back then, craftsmen knew their stuff, and what they could do with a brick is better than what somebody could do pouring concrete. The tunnel area didn't even receive electrical lights until the turn of the century, like 1908, 1909, somewhere in there, before they even started getting regular lighting. So it was probably just lamps on the wall type deal, or carrying a lantern with you. The tunnels can get downright spooky because when there is no lighting system in there, you can't see a finger in front of your face. Thank God there's walls. But if you know where you are when the lights go out, you pretty much know where the nearest exit is, if you're familiar with it. If you're brand new in there, you could be lost there forever. That's why I carry a lot of flashlights. But, you know, I mean, me, I'd be equipped, but the average person, yeah, he'd be in trouble. There's no phones down there. If you're in the isolated areas, you're you're up a creek. It's a very basic tunnel system. It all basically comes off the main tunnel. So if you know where you are in the main tunnel and which offshoot you take, you know what building you're heading for, and you know what tunnels branch off from that. It's no real map system of the tunnels. It's just familiarity.
It's all sectioned off. But you would go right out this door and go right into Brown building. You know, when I started here, staff mostly used this to go down to Howard Rec where the Garden of Eden was, which was a fast food type restaurant. And everybody would come down here, get their lunch, come back to their office. They'd have to take their cars. This first junction here, to the left is the tunnel that goes to the Fair building. Let's go away here. We're in the basement of Annex 1, which is adjacent to main building. That's where that goes. This is the old,
and if you work here for any amount of time, they become almost like second nature to you. In a few places there you'll see a wooden sign on the wall saying Bancroft with an arrow going one direction. The newer tunnel system has several signs saying Howard Rec this way, M&S building this way, that type of thing. But they're just little wood signs that maintenance shop put up for some of the people that were less familiar. The older tunnel system, it's memorization only. They don't really have it marked. Today my duties in the tunnels is basically a precautionary walkthrough. I just make sure everything's in order, windows are closed in the areas that are above ground, make sure there's no pipe burst or smell of smoke or anything like that. Because most of the doors are alarmed now, I don't have to door shake like I did when I first started. That was my primary function when I first started, was shaking doors and locking it down for the night. Now, like I said, it's just a cautionary walkthrough.
Okay, go back 15 years, right? Your first day on the job. What did you think about going down through those tunnels?
My main concern was I was more worried about missing a door, because in main building there are so many doors, and we were responsible for, let's see, at the time I started there was around 15 we absolutely had to make sure were locked, that we were responsible for. And so I was more nervous about being the new guy on the job and screwing it up than I was of the tunnels. Of course I took care of that by making sure I had my big flashlight with me and all that stuff. And I didn't go alone at first. My training officer basically walked me through it for a couple of months before he made sure that I wouldn't get lost.
How do you feel now in terms of your confidence to go in the tunnels?
Oh, I don't even think about it. It's just like the air I breathe.
What fascinates you the most about the tunnels?
Actually, it's not just the tunnel system that fascinates me, it's the whole complex. It was well engineered for its day. The main building is 160 years old, as it was built in 1842. The last addition was put on in 1911. They're fascinating structures. Well built. We have very few structural concerns of the buildings themselves. Basically, you can get just about anywhere through the tunnel system. This is underneath the old kitchen. As you can see, it's all 4 utilities. And to contradict myself, this is one of the tunnel systems that's actually in great disrepair. The structure above it is going to be torn down at some point, so this will end up being torn down also. Okay, this is one of the steam tunnels. It also runs water lines from, well, it finally winds up at the power plant. This is called the north end entrance. This also branches off to the Chandler wing and into the Peaslee. Even if we have some structural issues with them, they will probably be maintained because of the fact the way this campus is set up. The tunnel system is very beneficial to the infrastructure of the whole campus. Utility lines, both power, water, steam, fiber optics. All the tunnels at this point will probably either stay in repair or be maintained to a safe condition. There's a lot of rumors about sub-basements here at the main building. The original structure was built in 1842, and there's rumors of 3 more basement levels. One of the issues is the sprinkler system was installed in 1932, and we don't have any sprinkler mains penetrating lower levels. Some people believe that this archway that's been sealed up was actually a staircase to the lower levels. I do not believe that that's what this was for. I believe it was mainly just to enter the stair tower. And over time, as fire concerns increased, they installed smaller doorways with fire doors to protect the staircase better in the event the building did have a fire. It would stop the smoke penetration.
One of the biggest misconceptions is people associating it with us kind of hiding away our patients that were here, the problem ones, the screamers, the ones that people have in their mind that you know, we chained them up against the wall and all that good stuff. But the tunnels had nothing to do with that. They were just a practical way to transport patients and staff and maintain the pipes and the nuts and bolts of the institution. When I retire, for example, there is no one that's going to know about those tunnels like we do. There's absolutely no one. Because if you don't experience the life they used to have, they're just, you know, 4 walls to anybody walking through. They won't think anything about it. or the people that walk through it, or the things that happen there. I think the most impressive thing was back in the old days when there was like one ward aide for like 50 patients, back when there was no medications, maybe lithium or something, and they would transport 50 to 75 at a time and have less trouble than we do today with the staffing levels we have today and the medicines we have today with dealing with the patients. It was just amazing. So few staff could handle so many people. It just, to this day, I don't know how they did it. I really don't. And my chief is one of the last of the ones that actually walked those tunnels with patients and remembered what it was like before the meds came and all that. And how do you get that to stay? You know, how do you keep that alive? And I just feel, particularly the people that have hired into the hospital since the new building was built, a lot of them don't even know we have tunnels.
Well, see, one of the things is with the tunnel system, people used to say that people lived in the tunnels. But also, yes, we did have patients from 1842 to 1845 that were housed in the Kimball basement, which some people indicate as a tunnel. It's not a tunnel, it's the basement. And they did house them there for approximately 3 years.
History is so amazing if you look at it in the right light. And those tunnels are living, breathing lesson how we used to think, how we used to do it, and nobody seems to pay attention anymore. And right now we're desperately trying to compile some sort of constructive history so people can maybe understand what New Hampshire Hospital was all about. I mean, we were started, 20 years before the Civil War. And people don't even blink an eye at that fact. Always knowing the thousands of people that walked there before me and their stories that walked with them. We had everything from high dignitaries to the homeless street person, and they all had a story to tell. And when you walk through the tunnels, that's what you feel. You can almost hear their voices sometimes.